go ahead and jump in and talk about the season finale or the series finale of The Mandalorian. Um, I am conflicted in this episode. It was
Mm-hmm.
good.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it. I think it's because
Yeah.
it's the last season, or the ending of season 2
Yeah.
was so hype, and season 2 overall had so many hype moments that this one felt a little bit flat to me. I liked it,
Yeah.
right? But there was no hype moment. It was good, but there was no crazy surprises. And that's where I'm conflicted, right? I think that the previous season, the last season especially, right, and Book of Boba Fett. Because I'll count Book of Boba Fett as Mando season 2.5, right? Basically, because it's half of the season, it's basically Din Djarin helping Boba Fett.
For sure.
So I think that a lot of us were expecting crazy twists and big reveals and crazy cameos and all that, right? And I think they did a really good job at subverting expectations. It's like, oh, what's gonna happen? And then the thing happened, but no one showed up. It's like, okay. So I appreciate that the show was becoming this sort of like cameo fest, and these
Mm.
other characters were showing up and doing stuff, and then Mando was there doing his thing, but then the other characters were like the big thing in the show. So I appreciate that they stuck to Din Djarin and Bo-Katan till the end, and they stuck through it. And I think it was a satisfying ending that could not only be the season finale. If they wanted to close the book, they could. But I don't think that's gonna happen. I mean, John Favreau already said that season 4 is already written, so that's gonna happen. But I think it's probably going to be a huge departure from what the show has been. I think the chapter where Din and he's trying to find his way around Grogu and all that chapter's done, and that's done. And then what's coming after that, it's gonna be something that's probably gonna be substantially different than the previous seasons. So that's my take on it. We can go into spoilers, but what do you think?
Yeah. It's funny because I did not get to watch this episode until literally an hour and a half before we were going live. So before you and I, we did our pre-meeting before we jump on for the podcast. I had just finished wrapping it. That kind of been a tradition of mine with the shows. I like to watch it at night. It's nice. It's dark outside, black everything out, turn all the lights off, just you and the screen, make a cinematic experience. And yeah, so I say that to say, like, I have not digested this episode fully. I just have my initial reaction to it. And yeah, I really liked it. I think that it was as a good finale. I think it's a good episode. Um do I think that it's the best season of The Mandalorian? No. Do I think that that's because it's like horrible or something? No. Do I think that it's like, you know, less than or some of the worst Star Wars we've seen? Not even close. I just think that, like you said, we as Star Wars fans sometimes have this issue where we get so excited about some things that we think we figured it all out and we don't enjoy what's just in front of us and just sit and just eat and enjoy what we have, what's being served. And we get so much into, like, it's gonna be this, it's gonna be that, and I'm gonna feel these emotions and I'm gonna
Yeah.
think this and it's gonna connect to that. And it's like just sit and chill. Just sit and enjoy what's in front of us. Now, that being said, there is fairness in the argument around, um, there was nothing. There was nothing that really left you going, okay, like here, what's the punchline, the big kick that we all were kind of waiting for in the
Mm-hmm.
episode. Specifically with the Praetorian guards, right? Like I thought, because we're gonna talk spoilers now, right? So I thought for sure that you were gonna have Grogu do something way more epic, right? Or I thought maybe another character would show up, or there would be it'd be a little bit more clever.
Yeah.
But it was the way it was done makes sense because my first initial reaction was like, "Oh snap!" You know, you can't have Din Djarin just walk in and just shoot these guys dead. Like that's not that would not
Yeah.
fly. Like Star Wars, as much as I love the Mandalorian, you can't do that.
You know what I thought? It was that when they got separated,
Yeah.
um, and IG Krang got destroyed. I thought that somehow, right? And I was like, like this is like super out of character, right? But I was thinking that somehow Luke gave Grogu both the chainmail
Hmm.
and the Yoda's lightsaber,
Yep.
and he was gonna start lightsabering suckers over there. So
Right.
yeah,
And that would have been the kick scene that like I feel like
yeah,
I was waiting for. Like that's what I was like something like that was gonna happen. I was gonna be like, oh snap, you know. And I agree. I was thinking the same thing. But the way they did it was very clever. Like, you know, he used the force to freeze them. Grow, you know, then Din comes in and just takes them out, whether it's with a knife or shooting them. So like it was choreographed very wisely. But I was like, hold on, what are they doing for a split second? I also think that the whole like, reveal of Moff Gideon and his cloning
that
process,
was super
that
flat.
was yeah, that was not what I
super,
saw
that
coming.
was super flat.
We all thought it was gonna be a Snoke connection, which it kind of still
Yeah.
is to some extent, but I did not think it was gonna be him making himself what with force abilities.
So when they walked in and I was like, oh, are those Snokes? And then they started looking more like Gideon. I was like, well, it
Right.
makes sense, right? Because Hux is the one that was after that Project Necromancer and not Gideon. Gideon was interested in him gaining power to him be able to be the new leader of
Hmm.
whatever the remnant of the Empire was. So, um, but it was super flat, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be something bigger, but I mean at the same time his idea was pretty wicked. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's a not only these are gonna be like super soldiers, force willing super soldiers are also gonna be me, right? So
Right.
like that's pretty terrifying if you think about it, right? It's like basically there's gonna be this super intelligent dude with the force wearing a crazy like cyborg Mando suit. So I mean the prospect of it was pretty scary. So
Absolutely. I thought it would make a great video game or something like just some of the concepts around that. In the show, it was unique, but I mean, kind of reminded me of Force Unleashed. But with the whole armor, and I mean, this is not really a reveal because they showed in last
oh yeah,
episode, right, of Gideon's armor.
yeah.
The
Oh
way they
yeah,
used Gideon was very Darth Vader in this. Like he has a
yeah.
mask, and the way he's talking through the
I would deal with
mask,
them
and
myself.
myself when he walks around. And it's like, oh, so I actually do like that because I think when you start talking about the positives of this episode,
Yeah,
like as much as I joke, like I like Andor and I like these other things, like the Mandalorian understands what Star Wars is.
yep,
Like you watch it and you just get the feelings. The music kicks in. There's all the characters, R5 and all these like little details of things that they do. That's like it just feels like Star Wars in it, and then those are the
yeah,
parts I like. Yeah, it was your Walmart brand Vader, but it still was great. Like I love the way that they pull those
yeah.
those those narratives together.
With references to Dark Maul. So
Yeah,
to
yeah,
Darth Maul. It was good. It was good. I like the the whole like Maul homage he got going on with the helmet and um I'm just surprised that it was like, oh, I was one of the Maul's followers when he was doing this thing over here. So that's how I ended up was part of the Empire, and I knew that what he was up to, and I admired him. Like I thought that they were gonna name drop Maul because of the callbacks for the helmet,
yeah. I've seen a few
but
people say that they thought.
there was like nothing said about it, and and whatnot. So I think the most controversial. So let's talk about like the non things that happened. Right, it's like everyone was speculating about the armor. Everyone was talking about another traitor. Right,
Who's the spy?
there's no spy. There was no spy. It was called
Why was it called the
what was called the
spies?
spies. There's no spies. Yeah.
That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and I do wonder, like, is this gonna come back in the future? And then, like, remember episode The Spies, chapter 27?
No,
You know what I
that would
mean?
be
Like,
that
it
would
doesn't make any sense. How would you do
no.
that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it would do. It would actually go back to it. Honestly.
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
really make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was Axe for a split second, but the moment he shows up at the ship and he's like, "Everybody off of here, they're coming to war," I was like, "Oh no, this
Yeah.
dude's not dirty. He's
Yeah.
he's trying to look out for his people, and he's trying to go down in a blaze of glory too."
Yeah. Yeah. And then yeah.
Dude,
Right. Right. And then I was like, "Where's the armor? The armor is missing.
yeah,
Where'd she go?"
yeah,
And then she just shows up, and I was like, "Okay, great."
and that fight sequence, bro, when they're
Oh,
all just
that's
invading
really
in,
good.
and she's just using her hammer like
I think the action
Mandalorian
overall,
Thor over here,
yeah,
and just just taking out people.
yeah, the action overall in
Great.
this episode was really good. Like,
Budget goes up in the finale of the Mandalorian every
yeah,
season, right? Last
yeah,
season we
yeah,
got the cybernetic, dudes,
yeah.
whatever
The
that Luke
Dark
fights
Troopers,
off.
yeah,
Dark Troopers, like, budget goes up in the end.
yeah. I mean, it wasn't disappointing when it comes to like again subverting expectations because everyone was expecting the spies to be revealed, and there was no spies really. Honestly,
No.
it was weird. Like it was a
Yeah, I don't
weird.
understand why it was called
Maybe,
that.
maybe they did it on purpose, Joe. Maybe they did it just to it's like, oh, maybe we should just call it the spies and have people go crazy on the internet. That's basically what happened, right? And then nothing happened.
I mean,
So yeah, um, kind of disappointed that we didn't actually get a lead in into Ahsoka, right? Um, but here's what I'm thinking, right? Also, and this is what I thought after when I finished watching the episode. It's like, oh man, it's like no big cameo, no big reveal, no post credit stinger. Like it was very very standard,
mm-hmm.
good, right? But it was all very safe, very standard, part for the course. But then I started thinking, I was like, oh, maybe they're just saving all the crazy stuff for Ahsoka, right? And they're not gonna just give us two crazy things in the same year. So maybe that's what it is. That's what I was thinking. So maybe that's the case. But yeah, I mean, overall, I liked it. It was like, yeah, definitely not the best season. Definitely last season or season two was the best one. By by a wide margin, I would say. Um, but it was competent. I mean, they had a couple episodes here and there, like you know, like the Lizzo episode that we're totally filler. We there's a video on that, guys, if you wanna check it out on YouTube. But it's I mean, it is what it is. It was what it was. And it was fine. It wasn't great. It was good. You know, kind of disappointed that there was no bigger deal stuff happening, but also kind of excited that the Mandalore was recovered. So and that's lore wise, that's pretty exciting. So like for the Shreddies, that's a big deal. So
Yeah, yeah. Mandalore being returned to his rightful people, and like that was a beautiful ending from that, and I love that. And again, I think it's a good episode. I really did like it. I think it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. It's a ton. I don't want people to get the wrong ideas on it, but just initial reactions as I digest it for sure. Um, Obed, now you had heard these rumors maybe before as well, but you know how they had said, or some people had speculated that the show, like whatever the next season after this was gonna be a completely different name. Like they weren't even gonna call it The Mandalorian anymore or something like that. It was kind of evolve into something else. I don't know if you had heard this before. I'm trying to remember who
no,
started this thing going around,
not necessarily,
but
but I did hear that it was going to evolve into something else. Yeah.
right. And then now hearing that Filoni's working on a movie, it's like, you know, is it really? It could be the Mandalorian season 4. I'm not saying that isn't. It makes more sense to go that way, but I would not be shocked that we find out very soon, like, it's not actually what we think it's gonna be called or whatever, and it's something else. But, yeah, yeah, we'll see. Plenty of held out for Ahsoka, and that's the show that, I'm trying not to get too excited. Like how we said, fans, we get too excited and we start
Yeah,
predicting and
yeah,
thinking. So I'm trying to keep my expectations in check, but I would be lying if I didn't say that that's the one that I am most excited for.
yeah, yeah. I'm looking forward to it too. Honestly,
Yeah.
like I enjoyed Rebels. Pretty good. I think like all the other like animated Star Wars stuff, like Clone Wars and Rebels. Like the first season is like, but even I would say that Rebels season one is definitely way superior than like the first two seasons of Clone Wars.
Oh, the first 2 seasons of Clone Wars is rough. Once you get to the bounty hunter season, like with the whole Cad Bane
Yeah.
stuff, then you're good.
Yep. Yeah. That's when it starts getting good, and then but Rebels was good. Like from the beginning, it was pretty good. So
No, I
um,
agree.
I don't think there's much of a dispute there. But if it's gonna be more Rebels, and I know that um Dave wasn't too involved with this season of Mando. He was because he was working on Ahsoka. He's working on other projects, right? Um, so this
I
was
liked his cameo.
yeah, yeah. So this season was basically like almost all of it was John Favreau and Rick Famuyiwa, right? So
Yeah, the
um,
director of Dope. So it's cool to see. And he's directing the finale, I believe, for Ahsoka as well.
oh yes, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good overall. You know, looking forward to more Star Wars for sure.